Hi all, I've seen quite an interesting game from the Anatoly Karpov against Yifan match. So this is a 6 rapid game match played in Harbin, China, 5th to 6th of February 2018. Time control 15 minutes per game with 10 seconds per move from move 1. So let's have a look at this particular game, game 5, d4 from Karpov, who's 66 years old. His opponent's around 23 years old, so quite an age gap as well between the two. Yifan plays knight f6. We have actually the Benoni after c5, d5. We enter a Benoni. So d6 now from Yifan. Knight c3, g6, e4, a6. And actually, you might expect Karpov to play a4, but actually he allowed that. He just played h3, which prevents any bishop g4 perhaps later, which could improve black's dark square play. So this allowing of b5 is quite interesting. Bishop d3 to support that center pawn against b4. Bishop g7, both sides castle. Rook e1, rook e8. Bishop f4 targeting that vulnerable Benoni d6 pawn. So already things like knight d7 you can just take on d6. So queen b6. We have a3 now, knight b7, queen d2, as if bishop h6 to exchange off the dark square bishop could be interesting later. Bishop b7, now b4. So this is trying to fix black's pawns. Rook ac8, rook ac1, knight h5, bishop drops back, and the queen gets out of there. Actually, there might be on the cards here a4 and trying to expose the queen with b takes and rook b1. Queen takes herself out of that pin. Knight e2, and now quite a radical move to try and destruct white's center. f5, but it does compromise the king side a bit. E takes f, taking that. Bishop takes d5. Knight h2, we have bishop f7, fg, hg, knight g4. And it looks as though that h6 could be useful to try and grab this dark square bishop potentially. In fact, we do see that now after knight e5, knight h6 check, that black didn't want that knight hanging around here. So this is quite a committal decision, giving up the dark square bishop. Dark square weaknesses here. At the moment, it doesn't seem clear how that could be exploited. Knight takes d3, queen takes d3, queen f6. If black has on the move maybe g5, to try and trap this bishop, we have queen d2, cutting out any g5 and providing support for bishop g5. Rook e5, and now again g5 might be on the cards. The bishop comes back rather. We have bishop c4, rook cd1, rook d5 hitting the queen, queen c2, queen f7, knight c3, an exchange of rooks, queen takes, c takes b4, a takes. Now the forcing a move bishop b3, which also hits the knight. The knight's protected. Knight f6, and now bishop d4, underlining the dark square weaknesses. Now this looks quite dangerous for black. Rook f8, and even more so after knight e4. White is clearing the way for things like queen h6 later. Knight takes, rook takes. So queen h6, for example, could be very dangerous. Queen h7 preventing things like queen h6. Bishop c3 introducing queen d4 though, potentially, and also hitting the pawn there. That's protected. d5, rook g4. Now there is pressure on g6. Rook f5 is played, and that centralizing move queen d4 is very dangerous now. Bishop c4, and the queen lunges in, hitting g6 now. g5, but now h4. This is very dangerous position. Queen h5, check, and after king f7 the game ended here. Actually, this rook is a major liability in this position. White can actually play queen d7 check, and actually on king g6 there will be queen g7 checkmate. So the game actually ended in this position after king f7. Yeah, it's decisive. Queen d7 will be decisive here. Either picking up the rook, if the king goes back, we can also pick up the rook, or mating. So quite an interesting Benoni. It's not often we see the Benoni defense being played, I believe, against Anatoly Karpov. So this is in a rapid match, though you can be more experimental quite often. But Karpov really shows he can still dominate and control the position like the old Karpov can. And so yeah, I thought it was quite an interesting game. I thought I'd share with you that I just stumbled on today. Comments, questions, like, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.